I'm Cedric Brown, a 2019 Atlantic Fellow for Racial Equity. I'm also the co-founder of the Black Funders Network of the Bay Area, which is a professional network of African-American, African-descended people who work for funding institutions here in the Oakland and San Francisco Bay Area of California. Top of 2020, we saw this coronavirus pandemic starting to have a presence in the United States and to grow. And one of the things that we quickly noticed was its disproportionate impact on Black communities.
Black people have been 30% of the deaths from the coronavirus, COVID-19, despite the fact that we are only 13.4% of the population.
And that's not because of the way that the virus attacks, but because of the circumstances that certain communities have had to endure for generations.
The health disparities puts them at risk for diseases much more so than the general population.
We at the Black Funders Network of the Bay Area knew that we needed to do something in response in order to help to get resources to our Black community serving organizations that were then responding to the coronavirus pandemic. A week after I secured the Solidarity Fund grant, George Floyd was murdered in Minneapolis. And this really kind of galvanized and rekindled social Black Lives Matter movement. There was the creation of murals up and down Broadway here in the downtown corridor. People came together in clusters, whether formally or informally, to say, how can we kind of put what we have on the table to help someone else? So needless to say, the enormity and the urgency of this racial justice movement really required us to reassess what we were going to do as the Black Funders Network and to pivot. So the grant, which was intended to help cover staff time, additional staff time around our COVID call to action, actually helped us to mobilize in accordance, in alignment with the national organization. So it still paid for staff time, but it enabled us to then do things like convene our local CEOs and to compile an online COVID resource repository that was quite popular. And we wanted our members and others to be able to use that resource repository to get the kinds of help and need and assistance and information referrals out into the broader community. So just that small grant had this bigger effect on our organization and on our communities. Personally, the struggle when facing those two pandemics was and is exhausting, to recognize that your community, your friends, your family, the organizations and networks that you care about are in peril because of these two pandemics. And that's why we really have to rely on these networks of people, like Black Funders Network, to come together to strategize and to support each other. Part of what drives my work, just generally and period, is the pursuit of ensuring that Black folk across the diaspora understand how beautiful and smart and resilient, et cetera, we are. Because that equips us to then fight against these things that are the headwinds that we face because of anti-Blackness, because of racism, because of white supremacy. So if we have this understanding of our true nature, humans, fantastic, etc., then we can be better equipped to move against, move a wall, move mountains.